It's that time. The Brightside Chronicles is about to go down with Kerri and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
That's right. Let's go. What's going on?
What's going on? What's going on? How are you?
Woo! I am so excited for everybody to be watching the very first episode of the Brightside Chronicles featuring Nana, aka Onassis, also known today as SpongeBob, and myself, Kerri Lewis. We are here with the hopes of bringing you guys joy and encouraging you all to find ways to incorporate joy within your life. So, Nana,
Yo,
how you doing today, my fine co-host and friend?
hey, I'm good. I thought I was more than a friend, but we just got that wrong.
You are more than a friend, but we're gonna keep that to another episode.
No, but I'm doing well. I'm doing absolutely well. I'm in a good state of mind. And I can't complain. I'm excited for this live. So yeah.
I'm so excited. So I want to start off by sharing with the listening audience, why is it that you and I decided to come together in collaboration and create this podcast, the Brightside Chronicles? So from your perspective, would you like to share with the listening audience why it is we're here?
So, I mean, the ideology behind all of this was actually brought because of your, interpretation of just how things are with the state in the world right now, where love, joy, and happiness is so needed right now with everything going on in the world. There's a lot of just things that's just out of our control that's, you just can't control. However, this page and this podcast is meant to showcase the happiness and joy, how to kind of keep creating that with everything going on. And I think that's the notion that going into this was what the ideology behind it was. But you got to tell us on it too.
And that's the thing. Hey, Miss Alexis. So for any of you here, we would love to hear your thoughts, any ideas you have. We cannot necessarily pull up comments from Instagram and TikTok right now, but I will do my best to toggle between the channels to respond. But guys, here's the thing. And I will have Nana share with you all, given that this is the first episode, a little bit about himself. But for me, I work in addiction and mental health, and I'm a former corporate leader. And something that I struggled with for many years is understanding that we are meant to live in joy, that we are meant to experience each day filled with laughter and connection and play.
Correct.
Play being paramount in how to really get through some of those challenging experiences that every single one of us is faced with. And so for me, coming up with a podcast that really is to highlight people who are showing up in joy, showing up in play, doing what feels right for them, that fosters inspiration and laughter and brings peace of mind and just self-love is really why I feel called to do this show. And so I'm so excited to that can really hopefully help inspire you to incorporate more joy in your everyday life,
Absolutely.
So Nana, what is it that you do in your regular life, and how do you incorporate joy?
I mean, there's so many things that you can incorporate in the sense of joy with, whether it's listen to music that you just hype yourself up before the day, going to the gym, which is my sense of therapeutic happiness and joy, catching up with friends and family, and just I don't know, little sporadic moments in life that, whether I'm on social media or watching a funny video or, somebody sends a something meme worthy, that's the sense of joy that I get in that moment. So despite of whatever's going on, I feel like it breaks the monotony of just like, oh my gosh, it's a rough day or whatever it is. Those little sparkles in the day help to kind of uplift me as the day goes on, in all honesty. But
Yeah, I love that so much. Well, something that really I found fascinating, like when we first started dating, is how often you set your day off with laughter. Like
yeah.
I constantly listening to you and cracking up because it's just hilarious.
I mean, you know how I work. Like, I feel like the sense of humor is so important to me because, like, if I can't laugh at like things that's going wrong, let's say if something's going wrong, it just gets to a point where you're just like, this is almost hilarious. Like, who's writing this script? You know what I mean? Like, you ever have one of those days where you're like, man, I just can't win. I just can't win. Like, you can probably explain an example of that, right? Like, tell us something that you've had, like that you had to sprinkle joy in your day to kind of help uplift your spirit.
Well, guys, that speaks to this show and why we're here is I've had the distinct privilege of having Nana in my corner while I built the business from scratch. And for anybody out there who knows what it's like to have
Mm-hmm.
a dream and then to work to execute it with literally no experience, obviously nothing that sustains you with credibility is
Correct.
really, really hard.
Yeah.
And your ability to make me laugh is one of the wonderful gifts that I cherish so much, but it has also carried me through some of those days where I have truly wanted to quit. And
Yeah.
because you don't always see of your labor,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, going back to your point, like you were saying, the laughter part, because I feel like too many times, right? Like, things are heavy. Life is already stressful enough, depending on how you look at it as, right? But there's viewpoints of how you value life, right? So if somebody's in a positive state of mind, life is good. Life is good. If somebody's in a tougher state of mind, all they can see is the negative, you know what I mean? But like you just have to understand that it's just probably just moments in the day. Like it's pockets in the day, whether it's good or bad. There tends to be a lot more good, but we just sometimes are almost programmed to think, oh my gosh, like a bad thing happened. Like that was me today. I went into work on my day off. Nana doesn't do no Nana Thursdays for real.
No,
But
not Thursdays.
but I got
Ah,
called in. I got called in, right? And it was a previous customer of Mike Kerri, so shout out to Mike Kerri. But she was trying to sell her car. I thought she was looking to purchase a vehicle, so I went in thinking that, and it wasn't that. So it was almost like I got like set in to like go work. But then I was like, all morning I kept on thinking, I'm like, I should just sleep in. I should just sleep in. I should just relax. And I go into work and have a rough day. But then I just like get home and my friend who I've known for a while decides to send me a package. So he's sending me like a gift package or whatever before my birthday, which I'm grateful for. And that uplift my spirits so much. I was just like, I can't even be upset. This day was just comical in a sense of like, I went in thinking that I was going to help out somebody buy a vehicle and it wasn't that. And I got stuck at work. But then I got home and I was like, what a great message to get at the end of the day of all that. And I could have been pissed and be like, damn, what a rough day, yada, yada, yada. But no, like, it was just like, okay, like, it happened and I sat home and watched anime. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the thing. And here's the thing that I would encourage people to consider. Like,
mhm.
first off, yes, we are programmed to think negatively. So if anybody's like, yeah, I think negatively,
You're
nobody taught
human.
us
You're
that
human.
we were nobody taught us any differently.
Correct.
And yet that's why I'm here, Nana's here to encourage you to consider how to infuse joy in your life. And so
Absolutely.
um the listening audience definitely can't see this, but for anybody on video, Nana,
Yeah.
uh, clearly you're dressed up as SpongeBob,
Head
buff
to toe. Head to
SpongeBob.
toe.
I love it. Which is one of the ways in which you make a concerted effort to bring joy into your life. And so,
Correct.
can you talk to me about how dressing up in cosplay and going to Comic-Cons and connecting with people has influenced how you experience everyday life, even when you're working within your profession as a car salesman?
Oh yeah, I mean cosplay is a huge thing because I've had friends like Connor who actually is on the live as well right now. So shout out to him. We met because his sister loves anime, right? So we went to a convention in I believe it was Rhode Island, and we just hung out like the whole day, and it was cool as heck. And we've gone to go to like a Rhode Island Comic Con later on, and we were doing SpongeBob and another character from SpongeBob. So we were doing like matching cosplay in a sense. But the cosplay ideology is like it's a sense of just being free to who you are as a person. Like people dedicate time and effort into whatever it is. I'm just thankfully just wearing Under Armour stuff. And shout out to Under Armour because they be put on some really good gear. They need to sponsor us in all honesty. But like but like in all honesty, when it comes down to the cosplaying aspect, it's just me being me. And I feel like that is my zone of genius of like when I do go to a con, I'm forming genuine bonds. I'm making new experiences. I'm leaving lasting impacts. You know what I mean? I've had people that we've done push-up challenges. And that's a random thing just because it's like, why not? And if I'm buff, quote unquote, swole SpongeBob, at least I hope I can do some push-ups. You know what I mean? Like, but that's just my take on it when it comes to cosplay, and then relating to work wise, it shows a different side of me because I'm not just a slick-haired back car salesperson. I'm actually just a regular person that just helps people buy cars, but I also do other stuff outside of that, and that's only a subsection of who I am as a character or person in the sense of, you know, I kind of take it in different doses of like me being the cosplayer or me being the product specialist or salesperson, quote unquote, or just me being a regular person in a daily life.
Yeah.
But you got to tell someone yourself. I feel like it can't be all about me. We got to hear about your take on it too.
Yeah, well, you know what, guys? So for me, bringing joy is singing a song randomly, dancing along to family.
Ooh,
Like that's the thing
okay.
is, something that I have fundamentally discovered for myself in the work that I do is that um my understanding, and this is just
Mm-hmm.
my understanding, guys, is
Mm-hmm.
authenticity is allowing the present moment to unfold without limiting or judging it. What do I mean by that? So often we are inspired to sing a little song, do a little dance. But then we stop ourselves because we're like, oh my God, I'm on a live, I'm on my first podcast
Mm-hmm.
episode, and people might type some type of judgment. But the problem with that is our power lies in our uniqueness and our individuality.
Ooh.
And so I'm always fully expressing myself
Mm-hmm.
so that I can stay one authentic, because it's really important for me to
Correct.
just highlight the whole of me, the messy, the joyful, and everything in between. But also, I fundamentally know that's where my strength is. That's where my power is. That's where our superpower is.
As you said.
Guys, we're all energy, and they've been able to measure our energetic frequency based on the energies that we exist in. And most people operate in fear, guilt, shame, anger, judgment. But if you start to shift into courage, into joy,
Joy.
into love, and
Woohoo.
then most importantly, authenticity, well, then you're vibrating at a higher energy frequency. And for anybody who's out there listening to this
Mm-hmm.
who knows Nana, how many people does Nana attract to him? I mean, the homeboy gets
Nah.
baked cookies,
Yo,
handmade crochet dolls.
shut
He
up.
got flower, teddy
You're
bear.
wild. You're wild for
No,
that.
I'm not wild. The truth is
Nah.
because we show up and just allow ourselves to be fully expressed, allow ourselves to show up without limiting who we are because we're afraid of being judged.
It's totally true.
We
Totally true.
emit an energy that people want to be around. And for me, right, my hope is that that energy empowers other people to step into more joy for themselves, to step into doing what feels right for them, right?
So
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
then going back to your question, and
yeah,
then I'll let it go. Skulls bring me immense joy, guys. I love skulls. Like, if you want to make
absolutely.
a Kerri girl happy, you can just give me a skull. And in fact, my people know because they've given me skull cups,
Speaking of, I
with
gotta get it.
blankets of skull. I
Skull gang.
think, yep,
Skull gang.
it's just it brings me so much joy. And
Mm.
I love you too, beautiful Ty
Yeah.
too. Um, Ty too. Ah, we go way back. She's somebody who brings me joy. That's a
Mm.
sister that
Mm-hmm.
I've had since I was little and reckless, and we've stayed connected for 25 years maybe or so. So that's kind of cool. Another thing that brings me joy
Mm.
is really engaging with my children. You know,
That's
I
another
worked
one.
so hard to be super present with Jules and Billy
Yep.
because I didn't have that connection with my parents. And
Mm.
I wanted to be able to look back at the time that I had with them as teenagers and say that I knew them and not who
That's
they were based on their performance so that they think that they can appease me or that they are doing the right thing, but truly know them as the unique individuals that they are. And so the joy of just watching them grow and express themselves and step into their own individual power and authenticity is one of the greatest things I
mm.
can ever watch. And it's a true privilege and honor to be their mom.
First and foremost, very, very good points. I was taking a couple notes mentally wise just to kind of put my thought process together. I love that you said the whole like even like the skulls because people look at skulls in like a negative viewpoint because like oh it means death, it means yada yada yada, and I'm like there's so many different meanings. That's like the color red. Red people assume is anger, but it's also perceived as love. There's so many ways you can view different things. So I love that you brought up the skulls to just kind of break the stigma of what skulls are. You know what I mean? Um, Thus speaking your truth of how you feel about it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'll give you a little tidbit. I have a scope for a business logo. It's since
Mm-hmm.
evolved a little bit, but I caught a lot of heat. How could you have a skull for a business logo
Yep.
when you work in addiction and mental health recovery? But my thing is I believe that we struggle with mental health and addiction because we don't know who our true self is. And even if we do, we're too afraid to show it. So how can I show up and say, I can serve other people to step into their authenticity and not be true to myself? I would
Mm,
rather not get the client who doesn't understand that
yeah.
than limit myself because I'm afraid that I'm going to be perceived a certain way.
Which I mean, I'm glad that you stick to your guns because a lot of people sometimes are persuaded to, or should I say, are persuaded to shift their original idea because oh, it doesn't fit cultural norms. Like there's so many things that doesn't fit. What is a cultural norm if it comes down to it? You know what I mean? Like is me dyeing my hair yellow considered a bad thing? And to some people, sure, but to me and my viewpoint, this is just self-expression. Like I'm just being me. Like it's not hurting anyone. Maybe it might be hurting my hair, but like that's you know
It's definitely hurting me.
if it is, then
Pretty,
she
pretty
like,
soon we're going to have to do that spray that we were
nah.
talking about.
We just gonna just paint it. That's all we're gonna do. No, we won't put that out there. But going back to your point was is that like, it's just all about perception when it comes down to like the viewpoints of how people look at certain things. So like that's a very good key
Yeah.
point that you brought up in all honesty too. And I want to just read something that Connor actually had wrote. What up, Connor? He says, when we go to the cons, we get swarmed because of how many people Nana knows and how genuine and kind he is. Thank you so, so much for that. In all honesty, Connor, but that's the energy that we both put out. You know what I mean? It's not only just me. I'm only like one portion of it, right? I'm just me being me and just being welcoming. But you also being in that presence and understanding that this is your moment. This is your piece. Like you work hard, whether it's the gym or whether it's work or whether it's just life in general. And obviously being a veteran, shout out to, the services and everything like that, it's a lot of stress that we tend to put on to ourselves. So when you are at cons, it's almost like you're just enjoying the fruits of your labor of life in general. And I mean, babe, you've seen it. You've seen me at a con, and I was just running around like a madman, and I just go from one place to another. So like that within itself just showcases that like it's the energy you put out, and people will gravitate towards it. And I've thankfully made a great connection with people in different cons and just formed genuine bonds. And yeah, we might not talk on a daily basis, but when I do catch up, it's not like we've missed anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And here's the other thing, guys, that I really fundamentally hope to inspire, even if it's just one person watching this show or listening, is joy can be in little moments of just drinking water and really taking a moment to pause
Yeah.
and nurture your body.
Yeah.
But it can also be inspiring other people by going to cons and showing up and being willing to take pictures without charging people money, or high-fiving a little kid who is totally enamored by the fact that they're looking at a buff Mickey. And so,
Right.
thinking about what brings you joy and then allowing yourself the permission to highlight that and showcase
Yep.
that in whatever way that looks like for you. And throughout the different shows we have, we're going to be having different guests who
Can't
create
wait.
cosplay costumes,
Can't
who
wait.
do movie trailers, who create music.
Yep.
The thing about joy is it's a limitless, just like anything else, right? We are limitless human beings, and there's a limitless ways to find joy. I'll give you another example, guys.
Yeah.
I absolutely love going on hikes.
Oh
Love
man.
getting lost.
Yeah. Yo, the hikes. Oh
Nana
god.
does not love going on
Yeah.
hikes.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing is I don't feel any inclination about going into a Comic-Con and getting swarmed by the masses,
While
because
I'm getting
it's
swarmed by
kind of
bugs
like
on a
going
hike, right? Isn't that ironic? You're getting swarmed by the masses. I'm getting swarmed by bugs on a hike. That's crazy.
I know you really are. For anybody who don't know,
Yo,
Nana doesn't like bugs.
bruh, they just be. I be like for a free meal, bro. They're like, oh, we haven't tried this flavor in a while. Like, and I'm like, yo, y'all need to chill. Like, this
But
bugs
you
free
know
on
what it
me.
is? It's your energy is so
Nah,
beautiful. You just attract the bugs.
nah,
They're like,
we might have to shift that energy a different way, bro. Nah, yo,
but I love it so much. So
yo,
let's come back to,
correct. Woosah.
joy in the workplace, because another thing that I absolutely love to witness is all the pictures you take of the
Oh my
people that
god.
you sell cars to, which, I mean, sure, social media right now, it's becoming more prevalent to kind of highlight those experiences. And yet I've known you for almost 5 years,
Correct.
and the excitement that you
Oh.
have when you're talking to me about being able to get somebody approved or being able to get somebody in their dream car after working years, how is it that you've come to find joy in those moments, and how do you infuse that joy into the car buying experience with
Oh
people?
man, very very good question. I think in all honesty, what it comes down to is creating a memorable moment for people. You know what I mean? Like my business card literally says, I want to change the perception of what car buying is. And that's been like a notion from the get-go. Because like I just remember when I knew about car buying, it was like, oh, you just went there and you just spent 8 hours of your life there. And I'm like, oh, that's lame. Like, that's way too long. Like, and what did you do? Like, you left and you were just miserable. However, if you can, get people in and out and be efficient, that helps so much more, because then they're not expecting to be like, oh shoot, this is like quicker than I thought it would have been. You know what I mean? And I mean, some of the most exciting ones would be literally like you're saying, like people with challenging credit, which that's just life. Life happens. You know what I mean? Like you can have family issues that come up and so on and so forth. But my sense of happiness is like when somebody doesn't expect the unexpected to happen, and they're like, "Holy crap, you actually like made things happen." And it's happened so many times that it's become a part of me, and I'm grateful for it because I get to keep building these memories. And regardless, the customers might change, but the scenarios, it just becomes the same thing as just figuring out what makes sense to the person that walks through the door. You know what I mean? And that within itself keeps building that sense of referrals. People send, oh, go ask for Nana or go do this. Like, you know, how to like reach out to the person that knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? But going back to the point is relating back to your job too. I want to flip the script and tell us more about your situation. Like, how do you bring that sense of joy to clients that you work with and, you know, the people that are in your line of work?
Yeah, I think that for me, what I truly love, honestly, what brings me joy is when I experience somebody who starts to show up for themselves.
Mm,
And what I mean by that
mm,
is maybe advocate for their own needs at work
correct.
or take an initiative and trying something new. Earlier today, I was testing the tech for tonight's show,
You did
and
amazing, by the way. Shout out to you for that.
yeah, but I was inspired to say, how often are people willing to try something new? And the thing is we often limit ourselves because we're afraid to feel, right? We're afraid to
Hmm.
get egg on our face. And so when I get to witness, and I get to do it all the time because I work alongside of people who show up and try something new, whether it's having a tough conversation or trying Pilates for the first time,
Ah,
or
yeah.
my favorite ever is when they tell me something that they don't like that I do, because now I know they're standing up for themselves in a really meaningful way. They
Hmm.
feel safe to speak their truth.
Yeah.
That brings me so much joy, because the reality is we have to be our own superhero, guys. I am truly my own favorite person. I love my children. I love Nana. I love all my close
If you have to
friends,
love
and
you, it has to come from within.
it has to come
Correct.
from within.
Correct.
And that's why I encourage people to chase joy, because when you try new things, you're going to get egg on your face. You are going to feel forward. If you
Mm,
were to watch the first episode of the first podcast I've ever done till now, it was a completely different experience. I mean,
correct.
sure, I can talk the head off of a goat if I needed to, because that's my personality.
Yeah.
But the reality is I don't take myself seriously. I'll laugh at myself for the faux pas. And I find that when you're able to like recognize that this experience, this human experience, is a gift within itself, whether you wake up and you're struggling financially
Yeah.
or you're
This
on
is both.
top of the world, then it's easier for you to choose, and it is a choice to find moments of joy throughout the day. So that's a lot of what brings me joy as well. And then also having these conversations, guys. If
Hmm.
anybody has any thoughts about joy or anything that you would like Nana and I to touch upon,
Yeah.
please drop it in the
Without a
chat.
doubt.
If it's on Instagram and TikTok, sorry people, I'm struggling to
I couldn't even get into my
drop.
Instagram thing. I was like, "Hey, yo, we just gonna just let it rock. We just gonna. This is gonna be great energy, regardless.
Yep,
Like, I'm not
it's
worried about it.
and we gonna figure it out. The
Yeah.
great thing is, Nana, you can post and copy it to Instagram
Oh,
afterwards.
thank
Um,
God. No,
that's
because
how I
I
roll.
mean, no, I love that though because I mean that also gives the other audience that thankfully I've helped to amass over the years, just as so you know a sense of oh he's just a regular person, you know what I mean? And I don't ever get caught up in the whole like oh I'm like the coolest person ever. Like I'm really just grateful to just be living the moment of who I am as a person. That's it. Like
I can't help it, but I can't help but think about Kendrick Lamar talking about be humble. And the
shout
and
out
the
to Kendrick.
reality is
Don't sleep with that
whoa.
boy.
Yeah, listen, but
I
let's
gotta
keep it
manifest his concert. I gotta manifest his concert somehow, some way.
listen, but here's my point though,
Amen.
is every single one of us bleeds red. Every single one of us has gone through suffering. Every single one of us
Mhm.
eats, sleeps, and poops. I mean, I every single day, I'm thinking about one thing, right? And it's worship no idol. And what I mean by that is I am no better or no less than anybody else. And I
Mm-hmm.
really find joy in being able to connect with people wherever they're at, whether it's giving this amazing homeless man Daniel a handshake when I'm going into Starbucks and being able to stop and have a couple minute conversation with him, or having a conversation with a very affluent person who is building a second, third, fourth, whatever business. The reality is my joy is being able to bear witness to that individual, you know, outside of these perceived notions of who I think they are because of what they've achieved or what they haven't achieved or whatever.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, we're all human.
that's true. That's true. Because I mean, like you were talking about, we all bleed the same, right? So like, let's say if I don't know, somebody's of a greater stature. Okay, great. They've worked hard to get to where they're at, but it doesn't change the fact that they are still human. They have emotions that we all do too. You know what I mean? And ideally, joy, happiness is what we focus on. Where some people maybe focus on a little bit different path, but the biggest thing is just bringing that sense of like you're worth something or you are a person at the same time too, because that's the going point what the gentleman, the homeless gentleman by the Starbucks here per se, like he probably doesn't get that like interaction with 90% of people. I've seen it in person when you went in there, and I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of walked past. But you said hi, and I was like, "Oh, like y'all know each other?" He's like, "Yeah, I always say hi." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I don't go to Starbucks often, but apparently you do, so you know it." You know what I mean? But that made him feel seen. It wasn't like he was just another mannequin just standing there waiting to be like moved aside or whatever it is. So that within itself create a sense of joy for him. And who knows, I mean, who knows what that transpires to be like, oh man, maybe that might get me over the hump of whatever I need to go through, for the day.
Yeah. And here's my, I'm really passionate. I think about two things when I'm listening to you talk, right?
Yeah.
About, our focus being on joy. I think about a quote that comes from, one of the many, many books I've read in my lifetime. And it's wisdom is avoiding all thoughts that weaken us.
Mm.
And that's the thing, guys. For anybody out there, I struggled with pervasive depression, anxiety, and a myriad of addictions for decades. I'm
Mm.
talking about 20 plus years, right? That's a
Mm.
long time. And what I fundamentally realized is I had to choose joy. Like it had to be an everyday choice. I had to make that commitment that my mind was going to tell me, oh, feel badly that I'm going through a divorce, feel badly that
Mm.
I'm starting a new career, whatever, whatever. And I could have, and I did for many years because I didn't know better. But then
Yeah.
once I started to learn that, wait a minute, I have the power to decide what I think. I started to choose, okay, wait a minute, this feels hard. What can I find gratitude in? Maybe it's
Correct.
my cup of coffee, maybe. And that started to make it so I felt more moments of joy because I started
Mm.
to look for joy, and then because I looked for joy presented itself. So
Finding.
it's a
Yep.
it's a
Yep.
real practice, right? So
Correct.
think about it.
Correct.
Wisdom is avoiding thoughts that weaken you, and the first thing that happens with that is
Ooh.
just becoming aware. When you're thinking of something that feels icky,
Ooh.
find something that makes you feel happy.
True.
But
True.
the other
True.
thing that I love, and this kind of circles back to a question I have for you, but is no act of love is wasted. No act of love is wasted. And
Absolutely.
so when we're talking about joy, and I really mean this, when we choose to sit in joy, we are choosing love because we're not only choosing to love ourselves in the experience we're having, whatever that is, how
Mm-hmm.
we're also choosing to infuse that love in the community
And the
around us
community.
because people can't help but be affected by
Yep.
the joy that we're bringing in.
Exuding.
So I have had the distinct privilege of working out with you at a gym for almost 5 years.
I mean, I
Exactly.
probably had the distinct privilege of doing the same as well. Yes.
I know. Well, and our first date was at a gym because it was
Correct.
important that part
Correct.
of what brings me joy is
Working out.
training my body. But
Yep.
you show up at the gym dressed in random cosplay characters, including recently a Winnie the Pooh dress.
And
And
Pikachu. Don't forget Pikachu. Don't sleep on that Pikachu boy.
Pikachu too.
Nah. But
But
Winnie the
listen,
Pooh,
you're
yes.
partial to Pikachu. I'm partial to Winnie the Pooh because
Yeah.
it's not often you see like this really buff, ripped Jack guy wearing a dress. I'm just saying, you know what
I
I'm
might have
saying?
caught some flack for it, but I was like, whatever, dude. But
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
so fun. But anyway, so talk to me about your ability to show up in really unique outfits in an environment
yeah,
that can be considered by some very intimidating,
yeah,
right? I'm constantly looking at these very well defined men and women who are putting
yeah.
in work, who
Putting the work.
at
Yep.
the gym they're highly focused.
Constantly.
Some people think that they're mean, but it's really that they're laser focused and getting in their work. How is it that you manage to just show up and just be like, okay, I'm gonna wear Winnie the Pooh dress today,
Well,
and not only that, make content at the gym?
well, before I answer that question, I just want to read what Connor had wrote. He says, I will
Please.
say I was always hiding. I was always kind of hiding myself, and I was scared to express myself. And cosplay and the people I've met in conventions gave me more confidence to be in my every part of my life, to
I
be
love
me in
that
every part.
so
So
much.
the reason why I read that, because that basically is what the Winnie the Pooh outfit in the gym is. Like, you almost feel like you get to a point where it's not even in a braggadocious way, but like you're so confident in yourself that you don't worry about what people's perception is. Because at the end of the day, somebody might say, "Oh, that looks girly." Okay, well then great. That's how you felt in that moment. I remember I walked into the gym, the staff looked at me and they were like, "Is he wearing a dress?" And it's so funny. So like, shout out to Malcolm, by the way. He was like, "That's just Nana being Nana," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And then another person was like, "Are you wearing a dress?" I was like, "Yeah, bro. Like, why not? This is funny to me. Like, it's comical, and it's not to chase clout. It's more like to bring the sense of happiness because there was definitely a lot more smiles than there was any negative connotation of it. So like that withheld any negative, feelings towards it. I was like, yo, this is funny as hell to me. Like, why is there a random like buff ass fucking Winnie the Pooh character that's just like walking through the gym and not caring? But we did put in a great workout at the same time too. As much as we made content and funny stuff for people, which there'll be more because we'll come up with great ideas. But it was just having the confidence to be like, hey, look, like I'm just being me, bro. Like I can't be anybody else except for me. And whether people like it, I'm beyond grateful for it. And if people don't, I'm also understanding that it's okay to have people feel some type of way about certain things. I'm not here to appease the masses. I'm here to just do the best I can and just make my life that much more fruitful. And the people that really do value it will gravitate towards it, and vice versa, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious. So this actually goes out to Connor too, if you're
Yeah.
still listening, but also for you. Have you ever experienced a time where you were rejected for showing
Mm,
up in a cosplay outfit or dyeing your hair, and how did you navigate that rejection? Did you
mm,
not care at all, or did you just choose to continue to lean into what feels right for you, even though maybe it stung a bit?
mm. Damn. I mean, I'm gonna just throw it out there. I mean, even me and Connor was just super super cool because like we met because it was his sister's birthday. It was Drew's birthday, so she wanted to go to Rhode Island Comic Con. She's like, my brother will be there. He's a big anime fan. And I was like, okay, cool. Like that's perfect. And we met, and it was just like right off the bat, the energy. I was like, yo, he's cool as shit. Like he a good ass dude. And then so later on, Connor was going to the Rhode Island Comic Con, and he was like, hey, like let's do like a couple like duos. So we did like a SpongeBob and Doodlebob, which is like a reverse SpongeBob. So which was funny as heck. Like that was so cool. And then we did like a Demon Slayer, which is anime. So I was Tengen and he was Inosuke, which is another character. And then Saturday, I think it was Mickey Mouse and he did Inosuke again, which is super funny because those characters are not even like they don't exist in the same realm. So with that being said, like we were just being kids, and like I was like, yo, Connor was getting as much love as I was, if not. I was like, yo, his stuff is cool. Like he's working on new stuff. That's the thing I love about it is like with cosplay, you can like channel so many different ideas. And you know myself, I'll wake up one morning, I'm like, babe, I feel like I want to do this character today, and you're like, okay, what else is new? You know what I mean? Like I got like a Mario hat in the background, like that Mario was gonna be used for something eventually. But like, I also have the ones that I originally started out with like the Dora the Explorer, the Killer Bee from Naruto. So like all these little things that I just have made me who I am. These characters, they're part of me, and that's what just kind of kept building that confidence in myself. And I just got to the point where I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I just do me, and if I walk into a restaurant, I'm wearing a SpongeBob outfit. It ain't gonna be this any different from if I'm wearing regular clothes. You know what I mean? Like it's just it might stand out more because people see it and like, oh, what is that? But at the end of the day, I'm still.
It's my favorite when I see little kids enamored.
Oh
Like
my gosh!
the little kid you went up to at Texas
Oh,
Roadhouse
that
the
was
other
funny.
day, whose birthday it was,
That
and
was
was just like,
yo, that was so cool, bro. Because
excited.
like, I mean, what was he, 5 years old or something like that?
Oh, I don't even
And it
know.
was just so adorable because you just look behind, like, why is this man like got like Pikachu ears on and he's all yellow and like the math isn't mathing at that point. You know what I mean? It's kids just like I'm just here to just eat Texas Roadhouse buns and call it a day. Like, you know what I mean? But it just shows. But so let's see. Connor said something. He said, "Can you read it, babe?"
Yeah, so I bleached my hair out for Naruto and got a lot of heat at work, and other people were weirded out. But I was like, I'm gonna do what I love to do and bring the characters to life.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yes.
But even you, like, you caught heat for dyeing your hair in the beginning. But here's the thing, guys. I think that when you're infused with joy, and I think, this is super important. I really hope that people love what they do for work. And if you don't, at least start to find things that you, because working with people and coaching, but I also love doing interviews and doing and so my work has gone and it's continued to evolve, and it will continue to evolve because everything I do I absolutely love. And when you love it, you cannot help but be successful. Much like Nana, I caught heat for having a skull for a business logo. Nana caught heat for dyeing his hair. But the reality is he's highly successful in his line of work because he loves what he does. And so, hair or how you show up in cosplay or the fact that I'm covered in tattoos has no bearing on my capacity to show up and do my job or to show up in kindness. An interesting thing that I think both you and I have probably experienced, and shout out to Connor for engaging. I love that. Anybody else who wants to engage,
you don't have to get Connor on here.
Yeah, Connor, you're welcome to join us. I'll send you the link. But please do, because I'd love to hear from all of you guys about what brings you joy, what prevents you from experiencing joy, what prevents you from showing up. But the reality is like people look at us and they make assumptions up. Right? A lot of people see me. I'm covered in tattoos. I have piercings. I swear like a trucker. And so there's this misperception at times that I'm, not approachable. And I also have experienced that with Nana, right? He's very muscular, very fit. And
very
so
thick, very thick. No,
I'm not saying that on air, but I mean, I will if you want me to.
Hey, yo, let's get back. Let's.
I know what brings me joy.
No.
No, but in all seriousness, like the reality is like how we perceive people isn't necessarily what's true. And so I would encourage people to just like put aside their anxiety and have a conversation. And when you trust your intuition, like people just simply know. and they'll come up and address me, but other people kind of feel some type of way. So I really work to smile at everybody
Yeah.
and engage everybody. Now, if I want to preface that, guys, if I'm mid workout and you start talking to me, trust and believe I don't want to talk to you. And I know that sounds mad
Oh
cold,
man,
but
you
you
locked in.
listen, I'm
You locked
locked
in.
in. And
You
some
locked
people
in.
be coming up and I'm like, I love you, but right now you need to step off
You
so
locked
I
in.
can finish because this
Yep.
pump is real.
You're like, I'm on
But
my last set. I'm just trying to get these
yes,
reps in. Like, I get you.
and
I
Nana
get you.
can attest. Like,
Wow.
listen, I literally be going in hard sometimes, and
Yeah.
I swear because working out is not easy for
I,
me all the
I'm never
time.
surprised. I'm never surprised when you just start yelling at the machine like, this motherfucker. I'm like, hey, yo, she's in the zone right now. Like, what?
Yo,
What?
okay, so I am loving this. What brings me joy is me and
Oh, is
Nana
that Austin? How that bitch?
discussing SpongeBob and Patrick.
Yo, let's
Being like,
go.
no. So since you
Shut
put
up.
it out there, I have to drop this.
Yeah.
I have been able to witness this young man,
Yo.
Austin,
Yeah.
really blossom into his own unique personality. I
Shout
would
out to
say in
Austin, bro.
part
Nephew out here.
because of the role models he's had in Nana showing up and dressing up
Bruh.
as whatever.
Yep.
And Austin is a younger person, he's a teenager,
Yep.
and I look at him and I look at our daughters and I think if this is the future of the world, we're solid. We are right.
Mm-hmm.
Because people just truly show up, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of courage and bravery to
Damn.
be a young teen and dress up as Patrick and walk into a Patriots stadium.
Dude, watching Patriots game, that was wild.
Yes, I love that.
Yo, I am definitely also bringing Austin to a con. So like, we're gonna be doing that this year. Like, there's no way that like we're gonna be SpongeBob and Patrick Austin. So like, I'm gonna figure out which con. There's one that I have in mind particular, but I will reach out to you. We will go as SpongeBob and Patrick because I like the vibe that we got going with that. Like it's like a good synergy. You know what I mean? Like because I got I'm uncle and then that's my nephew. And it's the funny thing because people look like that's your nephew. I'm like, yeah, I can't have like a fair skinned nephew. Like I
A
don't know,
fair skinned
2025.
nephew.
Like you know what I mean?
No,
Like
he white.
yeah,
He white.
nah,
Just
but it's
like
the
your
funny thing that
girl,
like,
she white
nah,
girl.
because people look at you like, hey, yo, what's he doing? I'm like, yo, that's my nephew, bro. Like, what you talking about? Like, that's my nephew. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Like that's gonna be a great time, and I definitely will. I'm gonna link up with you, Austin, because we don't figure something out to go to one of these cons for sure. Whether it's something in Boston or something local to start to warm up, and then we'll go from there too. So like, I'm excited for it.
Well, and I think the other thing that I want to highlight, and this was a really key point for
Mm-hmm.
me, and establishing a relationship with anybody but you is the joy that you have in wrapping your family up in love. Like you let me know from day one that family was a priority. If sis needs something, you're picking up the phone at 12 at night and going to handle business on her behalf. Or
Oh
if
my gosh.
and I think that's the thing is we live in such a productive driven society,
Go
right?
go
And
go.
what I mean by that is doing. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that so often people feel to recognize that we have an opportunity to sit in joy with the people around us when we give ourselves permission to put down our phones, when we give ourselves permission to let the day go thus far and be present with our 1.5-year-old nephew who is wildly busy and
Shout out to
exhausted.
Ozzy, y'all. My
And so
little
I,
man.
I love that family brings you joy. And I'm curious, have you always had that sense of like deep commitment to your family?
I mean, growing up wise, siblings wise, it was very like. I mean, we all grew up together. So my older brother, sister, and younger brother, we were all intermingled, right? So like those are the people that I sought to for advice and things of that nature. And I mean, even like my older brother checking me in college and was like, "Yo, like make sure you don't mess up and then you flunk out of college," was a reality check. You know what I mean? Or even sis reaching out to me just to like shoot the stuff. Like that was last week. She called me, just was like, just checking in, just want to make sure it's good. Or my younger brother literally just making beats in his room, doing his thing. We have our little tussles in the morning because why not? You know what I mean? He wants to challenge me, I'm gonna challenge him back. But like that's a big part of me because I want to make sure like people around me are good because that makes me that much more better. Not that I solely rely on them, but I love to see like, you know, even like yourself, like your family having a conversation with Manny today in the car. We're talking about like first jobs. We're talking about freaking I worked at Walmart for years and I loved it as a cashier, but then I became a manager and I realized how much I didn't like it. But he's talking about him working at like a food restaurant, and I was like, "Oh, that's mad funny! Like this is crazy." He's like, "It's just, you know, it just shows how much like intermingled I am with family because like, you know, I might not be at the house for a week or whatever, but I still try to keep up and stay present regardless of whatever's going on around me. You know what I mean?"
Yo, I'm gonna see if I can put this in. I'm
What?
gonna put this out. So we just got this up.
What is this?
This is from Jules.
Wait, what'd she say? Hanging in my room and talking with my mom and my sister brings me joy every day. Love you, mom. That's wait. She just wrote that on this.
She wrote that on Instagram. I
Hey,
believe.
yo! Shout out to Jules. Damn,
But
the whole
so,
fam.
but so here's the thing, for the listening audience, as we get ready to wrap up our first episode, which is as much fun as I knew it would be, and um, I'm so honored and privileged to be doing this crazy podcast and thing
I'm
called Life
excited.
with You, Nana.
I think it's
I
gonna be
I
great.
really want to encourage people. Um, when you show up in joy, again, you give other people permission to show up in joy. And you know, one of my greatest accomplishments is the ability to bear witness to our daughters showing up as
Mhm.
their own unique individual self, doing what brings them joy. And let me
Absolutely.
just tell you guys, some of the things that brings them joy, I can't stand. Like, I'm like, my
Yeah,
daughter
yeah.
loves musicals. I'm like, baby boo, you do you. I'm all set. But the whole point is, if you give yourself permission to step into joy, guys, then you unintentionally give other people, your family
Mhm.
members, people who might not have otherwise,
Exude
uh,
that.
yeah, to bring to be more joyful. And so I really encourage you over this next week. What can you do that brings you more joy?
Oof,
What does joy look like for
oof.
yourself? And are you willing to maybe, just maybe, express yourself a little bit more joyfully and see how
Your
you
mindset.
start to attract more joyful experiences?
Damn. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think I posted something about like, you know, if I think I saw it on Instagram and it was just talking about like how the mindset works is when you're thinking negative, negative things just everything is negative, right? Where if you're thinking positive, and yeah, it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's sunshine and rainbows. Like, yeah, no, it can be as simple as like, okay, I'm awake this morning, I'm in this moment, I'm present. That stuff tends to shift your mindset to make sure that like, hey, like we have to be alert of like what's going on around us, thus bringing you better things that happen. And so like it really just shows like you can see the difference when somebody is in a bad headspace of just because life is just beating them down and they're just getting pelted by everything. And you can also see the opposite. And when somebody's like doing well and things just keep going better, and like, oh shoot, I found $20 on the ground. Oh shoot, like I got a free photo shoot with some random agency or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Things start falling into place when you start shifting the mentality of it. So like
And
that's a good point.
here's the other thing though. Sometimes it has taken me 2 years to move the needle with certain people. And what I mean by that is I'm
Mm,
going to be joyful. So I'm like Nana, I'm like Connor, I'm like Lex, I'm like Austin, I'm like Jules. I'm going to show up and do me.
correct.
But I also recognize that people come from their own background, their own experience, and their own mistrust, because trauma really does imprint on our
Mm-hmm.
subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I would encourage people to do is, if you feel like you're being rejected, or if you feel like there's resistance, whether it's within your own family members or society, as you step into joy, understand that that's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just what they know. And then after a while, if you show up and keep showing up the way you do, believe it or not, some people who you may think are unmovable or are
Like
kind of
moving.
stuck in a way of being start to shift. It just
Yep.
doesn't happen in the time that we think it needs to.
Dude, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because, I mean, it's just so many times I've seen the moods change in people. You know, somebody that was going through tough times, and I'm just like, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there, and then you start seeing them shift, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's almost like watching like a flower blossom, right? It starts as a little bud, and then little by little, it's like, oh man, now we got it blooming all over, and it's just beautiful to see because it just shows that they have so much potential. They just got to believe in who they are and be confident in themselves. And that's, I mean, to attest to Connor's point earlier of him being confident in himself because of the people and the bonds that he formed, that opened up another side of him to let people know, like, hey, he's just doing him. And I love that. I love that. I think people that even say do cosplay, that's a huge thing. As long as you don't take it to the point of like, you're being caught up in yourself, and you keep it humble, of like humble beginnings, it means so much to people when people meet you and they're like, oh man, this is like a down to earth person. They're not self-centered or self-serving or anything like that too,
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Well, with that, we got 5 minutes to go. So I want to leave you guys all with this. One,
Mhm.
um, Nana and I would love to have people join us in
Correct.
this conversation
Correct.
around joy. And my favorite thing ever is to learn about what brings people
Other
joy,
people,
whether
yeah.
it's my amazing niece Alexis, who
Yo,
creates awesome lids that inspire me,
I was
or
about to say
whether
she
it
actually made this too, Pete. It says ask. I was like, yo, I can't wait. I can't wait. I
Ooh!
just saw it, and I didn't respond to it, but I'm like,
I know.
wow, that's fire. That's
But
fire.
that's the thing, or whether it is somebody who juggles. If you're interested in joining us live on a Thursday at 7, please hit up Nana and myself. We will drop
Mm-hmm.
a link for you to book
Yep.
with us. And
Please.
it's all about bringing high vibes and positivity, guys. Next week, we have Bombshell
Yo, shout
Becky
out to
joining
Becky.
us.
Shout out
Yo,
to Becky.
I'm so
Shout out to
pumped
Becky. Yo,
because
she has amazing stuff. Like I can't wait to hear her story and
she is
like,
a real one,
yeah,
and
yeah.
she is a perfect example. I can't think of
Living
somebody
authentic.
better to highlight, as she's a nurse who works with people who are in dialysis
Yep.
and loves to show up and bring joy to kids and
Hella
other
creative, by the way.
people through cosplay. And then please like it, share it. We're available on
Yep.
all social media channels. We're gonna be uploading to iTunes podcast, which I never
This
thought
is
I'd
cool as
say,
heck.
but
What the
shout out
heck?
to my dear friend Yanko,
Yanko.
who has always
Yanko.
been a real one.
Thank you,
Um,
Yanko.
he helps me with tech because, interestingly enough, that's what brings him joy. He loves it. He gets so excited about tech that, no word to lie, he calls me and he goes on, and I'm like, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, this sounds horrible,
Yo,
but
Yanko's
I
a
love
real
to
one.
hear his excitement. Anyway, Nana, what do you want to leave our listening audience with on the first episode of the Brightside Chronicles?
I mean, truthfully, like there's a couple things, right? So stay positive is just something that I've always loved. I don't know, something about it. It's like, okay, regardless of whatever's going on, you just gotta just stay positive and locked in. That's one thing. Living in the moment because life moves too fast. So like the past is the past, present is present, future has yet to happen. So live in the moment. And then lastly, just keeping authentic to yourself. Because at the end of the day, like you're always gonna attract the people that need to be attracted to you. So like, why not put out the good energy and attract them too, and just be confident in yourself. That's all. I'm very
And
short
if
and sweet.
and if that feels really hard, if you don't know what authentic to yourself
Yourself.
is, or to be positive, reach out to me and Nana. Reach out to somebody who exudes that positivity, because I'm telling you, when people show up joyful, 99.9% of the time, they're super loving and they want to give back. I know that I am always happy to support people. And I know Nana is the first to show up and help somebody work out, or show up and
Oh my gosh.
car buying experience.
Yeah.
So reach out and ask for help. And it is a joy for me and Nana and other people to extend that help to you, because people have extended that help to us. So with that, until next Thursday at 7 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time, we will check you on the flip side. Connor, Lex, Austin, Joel,
the Brightside Chronicles,
Tied to. Thank you all for speaking.
Mr. Brightside.